Have you ever wondered how trusting God's plan could totally change your life? For many of us, life can feel like a roller coaster, full of ups and downs, and it's easy to get caught up in trying to control every aspect of our journey. But what if I told you that there's a different way to live, one where you can trust that God has a plan for your life, and it's better than anything you could ever imagine? As Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Trusting God's plan means letting go of our need to control and instead, having faith that He knows what's best for us. It's not always easy, but it can lead to some amazing transformations. When we trust God's plan, we open ourselves up to new experiences, new relationships, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our purpose. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 gives us this powerful directive. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. I've seen this play out in my own life, and in the lives of those around me. When we choose to trust God, even in the tough times, it can lead to a sense of peace and calm that we never thought possible. And that's what I want to explore with you today, how trusting God's plan can lead to transformative changes in our lives. So, let's dive in and take a closer look at what this might look like. I know someone who was struggling to find a job, and it was really getting her down. She was feeling anxious and unsure about her future. But then she started praying and really seeking God's guidance. She decided to trust that He had a plan for her life, even if it didn't make sense to her at the time. A few weeks later, she got a call from a friend of a friend, offering her a job that was a perfect fit. It was one of those moments where you could see God's hand at work. She was so grateful to have trusted God's plan, and it really changed her perspective on life. It's amazing how often we can look back and see that God's plan was better than our own. It's easy to get caught up in our own worries and fears, but when we trust Him, we can experience a sense of freedom and joy that's hard to find elsewhere. The story of Joseph in the Bible is a great example of this. He was sold into slavery by his brothers, and it seemed like his life was over. But God had other plans. He used Joseph's situation to bring him to Egypt, where he would eventually become a leader and help save his family. As Joseph later told his brothers in Genesis 50 verse 20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Joseph's story shows us that even in the darkest times, God is at work. He can take our struggles and use them for good, but it requires trust on our part. When we trust God's plan, we can experience His goodness and love, even in the midst of difficult circumstances. This isn't always easy, of course. It takes faith and courage to trust God when things aren't going our way. But the payoff is worth it. When we trust Him, we can experience a sense of peace and hope that's hard to find elsewhere. Hebrews 11 verse 1 defines faith as confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Research has shown that people who have a strong faith tend to have lower levels of anxiety and depression. They also tend to be more resilient, able to bounce back from challenges and setbacks. This makes sense, when you think about it. When we trust God's plan, we can experience a sense of calm and confidence that's hard to find elsewhere. Philippians 4 verses 6 to 7 provides a powerful solution to anxiety. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. It's not that we won't face challenges or difficulties, but we can face them with a sense of hope and optimism. We know that God is with us, and that He's working everything out for our good. This can be a powerful source of comfort and strength. Romans 8 verse 28 confirms this, stating, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Trusting God's plan can also improve our relationships. When we choose to forgive and let go of grudges, it can lead to reconciliation and healing. This isn't always easy, but it's a key part of trusting God's plan. Colossians 3 verse 13 advises us, "Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you." In my own life, I've seen how forgiveness can bring people together. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. When we choose to forgive, we can experience a sense of freedom and peace that's hard to find elsewhere. Faith can provide a sense of purpose and direction, helping us navigate difficult choices. When we're faced with a tough decision, it's easy to get caught up in our own thoughts and worries. But when we seek God's guidance, we can experience a sense of clarity and confidence. Psalm 32 verse 8 says, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you." This isn't always easy, of course. It takes time and effort to seek God's guidance. But the payoff is worth it. When we trust Him, we can experience a sense of peace and confidence that's hard to find elsewhere. Having a supportive community can make a big difference in our ability to trust God's plan. When we're surrounded by people who share our faith, it can be a powerful source of encouragement and strength. Hebrews 10 verses 24 to 25 urges us, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." Church or fellowship groups can provide a safe space to share our struggles and receive prayer and support. This can be a powerful way to build relationships and deepen our faith. When we trust God's plan, we can experience a sense of hope and optimism, even in challenging times. We know that He's working everything out for our good, and that gives us a sense of confidence and peace. It's not always easy, of course. There will be times when we feel discouraged or uncertain. But when we trust God's plan, we can experience a sense of hope and optimism that's hard to find elsewhere. Isaiah 40:31 promises, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, they will run and not grow weary, they will walk and not faint." So, let's summarize what we've talked about today. We've explored how trusting God's plan can lead to transformative changes in our lives. We've looked at a personal story, a biblical example, and some practical ways to apply this to our lives. I encourage you to comment on your own experiences with trusting God's plan. How has it impacted your life? What challenges have you faced, and how have you overcome them? If you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more content on faith and spirituality. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.